friends, in our previous tutorials we saw how to onboard an application which is authoritative and in nature, and we also saw the aggregation process, how to do an account aggregation. We were also able to see INTs in SailPoint IIQ. So we were also able to do preview from configuration schema and preview. So we were able to see all those stuff, but we wanted to see that we have columns: employee ID, first name, last name, manager ID, email, joining date and last date. But when we saw the INT in INT warehouse, from INTs and INT warehouse, we were not able to see all the columns over here. And also when we clicked on an INT from INT warehouse, we were not able to see all the INTs attributes on here. If you notice, we don't have joining date over here, and also we don't have joining date at this place. We have username, first name, last name, manager, few more columns we have. But if your client or your business wants to see few more columns over here, then how to get it? So for this, before going to this, I want you to tell something about a new thing which we have seen previously, but very briefly. This time I want to go in detail about debug page. So debug page is a very useful, very handy tool we can say, which is mostly used by developers. So while development, you will always go to debug page, and you can have control on SailPoint IIQ instance. So how to go into debug page? So debug page, we have a URL which is localhost 8080, your instance host name and the port, your servlet name, IdentityIQ, and then debug. So let me go to that debug page. I'm opening a new tab over here, localhost and debug page. So you can see we have localhost 8080 IdentityIQ debug/debug.jsf. So debug page is something we can only administrator, or if you have a right or capability of an administrator can see. So only system administrator can look into it. It consists of a bunch of things, like you can search about search for the objects of SailPoint IIQ. SailPoint IIQ in background uses Java and Bean Shell. So Java is always about objects. So everything is stored as an object in SailPoint IIQ, and we can always search for those objects. So we can see we have object browser over here, which is a drop down field. If you click on it, you can see all the bunch of objects which SailPoint has, and you can always go through it. So let's say if I want to see my application, what all those applications we have right now in our IIQ, you can search for application, APP. So you can see we have applications. If you want to search a particular application, you can always search for it, but right now we have only one HR news application, so that's what it is coming up. Then we have one different button which is actually configuration object. So SailPoint has bunch of configuration objects which are nothing but basically XML, and those XML instructs SailPoint IIQ that what to show, what not to show, and what should be the system configuration as overall system configuration. So if I click on it, I will see system configuration, UI configuration, INT configuration, link configuration. So all those things I will talk about. So system configuration is nothing but the default configuration of SailPoint IIQ, and UI configuration is what we are looking at right now, is again one XML which tells you what to show in the UI of SailPoint IIQ. So Now you guessed it right. Now we want to do some modification in the UI. We want to add some tables, some columns in the tables, or in the grid of SailPoint IIQ. Then we have to work on this UI configuration, and we have to modify UI configuration. So INT configuration is nothing, is the XML view of INT mapping which we did earlier. If I click on INT configuration, you can see we have all those INT map attributes which we have added earlier. You can see we have manager status, display name. So apart from what we have seen, what we have added, apart from them, there are many default INT attributes over here. So this is a XML view of our INT attributes. So you can see here we have like first name, and first name has a attribute source, at a source mapping from which application, which attribute it is fetching. So this is all about INT attributes. So for now we are more interested in configuration which is called UI configuration. So UI configuration is what we want to modify if we want to modify any a view of SailPoint IIQ. So let's click on it. Let's see how it is, how it looks like. So it takes some time to load because the file is too large. For enhanced editor. So now you can see it's a object config called UI config, and we want to actually change the view of an INT attribute list. This is the attribute list of an INT, and right now we can see username, first name, last name, email, manager type, but we also want to see joining date, because joining date is also a part of INT attribute, so that can be done in UI configuration. Okay, so for that we need to know, we can see we have UI config object, we have attributes, we have maps. In the map we have lots of entry keys, and entry has some key, this value, but we have to know that which of these key is responsible for our UI in INT attribute. So for that I will let you know how to find it out, but before that I will just let you know that for the INT attribute the key is identity view attribute. So this one is the key, entry key, which is responsible for INT attributes at this place. But you must be thinking, how did I know that out of all these entry key, this is the thing we have to search for? So SailPoint has given a bunch of documents in its portal that is called Compass. So I will talk about Compass little later, but for now just you have to understand that I got to know about INT view attributes is the from the Compass document. But before that, let's try how it works. So you can see that the entry has a key INT view attributes, and from the document I got to know that this entry is responsible for adding an attribute at this place. So I will try and see to add joining date over here. You can see the values are name, first name, last name, email, manager, type, software version, administrator. So I will just add a joining date somewhere. Let me add this joining date at this place. So first of all, how do you know that I have to add this joining date? I mean everything is small. So for this I have to see my INT mapping. How to go to INT mapping? You can click on gear button, you can click on global settings. I opened a new tab, and you can go to INT mapping, and here you can see joining date, which has a attribute named joining date. So exactly this should be copied and pasted over here. So I'm just copying and pasting once again. So this is the thing, that we have to do in INT view attribute to do modification in INT attribute in the UI. So let me save this first, and I will be clicking on save button. Now let's go back to INT attribute and let's refresh this page once. I'm refreshing the page, and blah, now you can see we have joining date and the date is coming over here. So this joining date is actually the display name of the attribute. If you see, let me go back to, so this is the display name. So this is display name will be seen in the UI, and internally it is checking the joining date, the attribute name that should be present in the UI configuration. So if I go back and check all the attributes and all the INTs, so every INT will have that join date available right now. Okay, so similarly you can add more INT attributes if you want. If your requirement is to have all the INT attributes, then you can keep on adding in the UI configuration. And so now the question is, how did I get to know that? Now what is the entry key value in UI configuration which should be used to do the modification? So for now I know that UI configuration is the place where we have to do the modification, but what will be the entry, what will be the, just a second, while let me refresh it. To know about this entry key, we have to go to the Compass. Compass is a portal or forum where all the developers of SailPoint IIQ, developers as well as administrator of SailPoint IIQ gather together and discuss things. Apart from discussing, SailPoint uploads all the tutorials or videos and also the latest versions of SailPoint IIQ and bunch of other products in Compass. So this is how Compass looks like, and in Compass you have to just go, so to log into this you have to have the right credentials of Compass, and which you can get it from your partner company, or if you have a project from your client, then probably you can get credentials from request for credentials of Compass community. So for the UI config thing, I just went to search and searched for UI config over here, and you can see the very first link is about UI configuration with UI config in IdentityIQ 7.2 7.3. So right now we are working on 7.3, so this link looks like relevant to us. Okay, so from this document you can either download it as a PDF, or just you can go over this document here itself. So this document tells you about all the UI configuration that you can do in SailPoint IIQ, and it has also covered pre 7.1 versions. There is a separate document for this one. For 7.0 and 7.1 there is separate document. This document is relevant for 7.2 and 7.3. So if it has a nice index, you can click on it and go to the index directly, but we are more interested in something called, okay, let me search for what we did, identity view. So this is the place it is given the attribute non-grid, where you have to do a modification in INT view attribute entry key to do the changes at this place, which is attribute tab of INT. Now we are more interested in doing the modification at this page. So let's go back to our UI configuration document, which I got it from Compass, which is a forum for all the developers and administrators. So let me go down and see where we can do the changes. So yes, there is something called identity table column. Okay, so I already know that there is something called int table columns in UI config attribute that has to be modified if you want to do modification in the int warehouse page. So it tells me that if you want to do some modification at this page, then you have to do modification in int table columns. So that's fine. Let's go back to our debug page, and that debug page is at this place. Okay, so again I opened UI configuration. In UI configuration I will search for identity table columns. Okay, so we have here now int table columns. So we can see the value contains a list. So probably this list is all the columns we are seeing in here. So we are seeing username, first name, last name, manager, assigned role, detected role, risk score, last refresh, and type. So we have where is it? Okay, we have actually the list of column configurations from here to here. You can see this is a list. In this list consists of all the fields we have. We can see right now we have manager status, we have display name, and we have. So let me just copy and paste somewhere else so that it will be much easier to see. So I am copying this thing and pasting at this place. Okay, so we have name, first name, last name, manager. So all these attributes we have here, and now we want to add something called joining date over here. Okay, so for this I already have a column which I have added, which we have to add. So I'll just copy and paste. So this column configuration is nothing but we are trying to get the joining date in int attribute. So I will just copy and add over here at this place, Control V. Okay, and let's copy this list once again and paste it in our UI configuration. So copy, and in between values now I will add my list with additional joining date column. Okay, that's fine. So I will save this one. Now if I do something, if I do a refresh over here, I should be able to see an additional column over here which will be called joining date. Let's see if it works or not. So I'm refreshing the page, and wow, we can see an error, an unexpected error. So let's investigate why this happened. Okay, let me go to the log, and we have the log here. Yes, I want to reload, and now I can see the log, the error. Now let's investigate. It is saying it could not resolve the property joining date. Okay, let's go down. Same thing, could not resolve property joining date. So what might be the reason for this to happen? So one thing we can think of is that, so if we go further down, then we can say it is also saying some query exception could not resolve property. So it seems that SailPoint IIQ is trying to do some query, and it is trying to fetch the column joining date from INT table, and it is trying to query that one. But now we understand searchable. What is searchable? We already know about that. So searchable is something which creates or which makes a column available for a searchable attribute in the INT table, which is SPT underscore identity. So if you are not aware of what is searchable, then please go ahead and see the INT mapping tutorial in the video list. So in INT mapping, I have clearly demonstrated how SailPoint IIQ works with searchable attributes. So in searchable attribute, there is a separate column is dedicated for all the searchable attributes. So SailPoint must be searching the attribute from the column from the INT SPT table. So to resolve this problem, we will go to INT mapping, and the INT mapping we can find it out at this place, global setting, INT mapping. We will click on joining date and we will make it searchable. At this place, we will check this checkbox and we will save it. Saving this searchable will actually dedicate one column in SPT underscore INT mapping INT table for joining date. As we discussed in the INT mapping video, that without searchable, all the attribute values are present as a glob, that is character large object, in one column of SPT underscore INT table. That column is attribute, but once we assign an attribute as searchable, then SailPoint IIQ moves the value or just copies that value into a dedicated column in that table SPT underscore INT, and this happens only after refresh task is executed. This refresh task is actually does the movement or does the copying of the value from attribute column where everything is present as a crop into a different column, dedicated column for that particular attribute. So I will save this, and also I will run a refresh task which will do the job, which will actually move the joining date value into a different column. Okay, so I have checked check it searchable, and I will save it. I will go to a task, setup task. I will search for refresh, and refresh, I will just make sure that in refresh INT cube task we have refresh INT attribute is checked. I will do a save and execute. So after this I will go back to INT warehouse, and after running the refresh task, the joining date should actually be moved to the dedicated column. And since SailPoint is now trying to show joining date in this INT warehouse page, and it is trying to query the INT table, which is actual name is SPT underscore INT, and it is trying to find out all these values from that table. So let's hope that it will get the joining date now. So let me refresh this page, and now you can see we have there's no error right now, but we cannot see joining date. For that, let's click on it. So this is the place where all the columns are there, so we can see join date over here, but this is unchecked. It means, okay, so we have to check all this, and so at this place we can check and uncheck all those columns which we want to see or which we don't want to see. So right now, let's say we don't want to see type, software version, administrator. So we don't have assigned role right now, so we can uncheck this also. That's fine. Now we can see we have a joining date over here, and that's working perfectly fine. Now also, if I click on any INT, we can see joining date at this place also. So like this, you can keep on adding your attributes, but if you want to add attributes at this place and at this place, then those should be actually searchable, or they should have a dedicated column in spt_int. So with this, we now know how to see debug page, which is very important for a developer or an administrator. And we also learned about compass. We also saw how to search for a UI config modification in compass. So there are lots of documents already present in compass, which is a forum for developers and administrators, SailPoint IdentityIQ developers and administrators. You can always go and check for your problems. Many people go and answer questions in compass. So today we learned about UI configurations, and so similarly we have lots of views in SailPoint IQ, lots of pages, and all those pages can be modified. Most of them can be modified, and how to modify them we have to check in UI configuration document present in compass. So I will also give you a link for that compass, or I will also download the link, the document, and give you a link to download it directly. So if you go and see this UI configuration document, so it has almost all the pages, description and how to modify them. It gives you the UI navigation and at what is the entry key value in the UI configuration, UI config page to do some modifications. So it is a big and very long document. So you can, if you want to do some modification in the UI of SailPoint IQ, then UI configuration is the page, and this is the link from where you can download. To download this document, you can always download as a PDF. You can view as a PDF, and later you can also download this PDF for your use. So in next tutorial we will learn about account correlation, and we will also learn about manager correlation, what manager correlation is. So for now, in our SailPoint IQ, we have an authoritative application. So it's here, authoritative application, but we don't have any correlation for now. It's completely empty. So we will know how to do a account correlation or manager correlation, and in what condition we can do manager correlation, and when we can do account correlation, at what places we can do this configuration. Is it the only place we can do account correlation, or there is any other way, or we can write a rule